My body is metabolically slowly dissolving in front of my eyes. Every time I eat, the later in my circadian day, the worse my fingers begin to swell. I won't show it too close, because mostly I think it's disgusting to look at. So the question is why? I already, at age 18 or 19, only to later return and to gain a significant amount of metabolic damage, as well as an increase in body fat, which from this phase on, I found really hard to get rid of. Mostly probably because building fat cells is a one-way street. Once they are built, they demand to be fed. And apart from maybe cryotherapy and methods like cool scalping, using the observation that fat cells seem to die more likely at cryo exposure compared to normal cells, one cannot really get rid of them. So I now have been, in my definition, fat for years. Some data. When I grew up, we had a body fat scale, assuming that they all are kind of standardized, which they seem to be at least a little bit. Bioimpedance scales, simple bioimpedance scales. I, for example, have two different ones, and they almost show the exact same value. It's not like 10% more, but more like 0.5% more, which for the purpose of this argument I think is sufficient. It's not about the individual measurement, but about the trend. So currently my Garmin Index S2 shows 18% body fat, whereas in summer peak, I sometimes, if I really try hard, can get down to maybe 13.5%, but only for the average of maybe a week. Maybe the lowest measurement I can achieve on the scale, or I have been able to achieve, is 11.5 or something like this. If I, let's say, don't eat something for 2 days. But of course, it's not really the body fat that changes so much in these 2 days. Of course, the measurement is not what I try to measure. The measurement is only a proxy, with some measurement error. There are so many themes in my life that seem to point towards the same basic idea. Of course, I'm aging. If I eat something, and then I'm not sufficiently active, which for me is either like cleaning for a very long time, like 20, 30, 40 minutes, or doing some chores outside on the yard. But ideally, it needs to be at least 20 minutes of cardiovascular exercise, which, if it is the last meal of the day, probably extends my circadian wake time, which then obviously causes a major problem, which is that resting heart rate for sleep is elevated. Also, the cardiovascular activity can be mostly thought of as junk volume, as it does not happen in my circadian optimal window. It seems to be that strength training for me can be done for the last meal of the day, which often is the second meal or the third meal. If I don't reduce the metabolic stress of food by working out, then it's like walking on ice. I can walk, but it's quite likely that eventually I break into the ice, which I call internally a metabolic disaster, which is that my mind is no longer sufficiently powered to do good work because the metabolic stress becomes too much, and thus my mind would need to sleep, but my body is still digesting. And of course, by doing activity, I can increase the speed of digestion, mostly by moving. So basically, mechanically manipulating or positively influencing